Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. What's going on, y'all? It is your girl, Ray P, back for another episode of the We Got Y'all podcast. Of course, I am not here alone. I am joined by my amazing comrade and co-conspirator, Kieron Richardson, aka K Rich, aka Rich, aka Cool Ass Kieron. What's going on?
Hey, not too much, not too much. I appreciate you as always. Thank you. Really, all the praise goes to Rachel. Same thing she said about me. Say it right back, and then some. I was laughing for two reasons. One, you definitely forgot this is We Got Y'all because you was waiting on me for the intro. I could be tripping. It looked like there was that small, like, oh, that is me. This is my line. That always makes me laugh. But that's good though, because that just says we back.
We
You know what I
back.
mean? We
We
back
back.
with it.
Told y'all we was
Second,
coming back, and here we are.
here we are. And like you weren't playing because we pretty soon it's gonna be we back.
Back.
The other thing is I'm sitting here looking on YouTube right now. The one thing about moving away from home from anybody who ever has is finding someone to take care of, things like your new barber, things of that nature, right? So I was back and forth to Cincinnati so much when I first moved that I never had to really look for a barber in Cleveland. Because my barber, I just get one when I go home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're watching, I'm bald, so you probably think of what. Still get my beard taken care of.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, just in case, yeah. But I still get the beard taken care of, and I haven't been back home since Thanksgiving, and I did not. I was going to, but just didn't have the time to get lined up and all that when I was back home for Thanksgiving. So I've been thugging it because I knew I was going to be back this weekend or next weekend, should I say? And I'm just looking at the beard like, yo, I really need that barber's touch right now.
You look good, Scruff McGruff.
I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? I know that's a long intro to the episode, but I'm excited. Welcome back. Here we are. We got y'all. We are here to discuss Paramount Plus / Showtime's The Agency, episode 4, titled Quarterback Blitz. We talked last week. This series was created and written by Jez Butterworth and John Henry Butterworth. Remember, this is not a scene by scene podcast. If you're just not joining us, this is just a general conversation about the show. We are on YouTube. If you check the link tree on our page, you can follow us at We Got Y'all Pod on Instagram. There's more podcasts that we're a part of. I don't know why that word slipped me. And there will be spoilers and explicit content. This episode is directed by Philip Martin. The synopsis is Henry and Martian wade into a diplomatic incident with the Belarusian. Wow. Let me say that over. Henry and Martian wade into a diplomatic.
Y'all, Kieron can read.
Gotta laugh with the punches. You know what? I was gonna pause it and do it over, but fuck it. Fuck it. We human. This is how shit go down sometimes. It's been a while. Here we go. Take 3. Henry and Martian wade into a diplomatic incident with the Belarusian delegation. Dropped into her mission by Naomi, Danny walks a tightrope. Poppy and Martian attempt a fresh start. Osman threatens Sammy. We talked about the cast last week. We're not going to do that every single episode, but I'm sure we will mention cast members' names as we're describing their characters. So you'll know exactly who we're talking about, but we definitely want to give love and flowers to the entire cast. Rachel, Episode 4. What were your opening thoughts?
Okay. I generally liked episode 4, See, I did all that laughing.
Yeah.
Blitz. I enjoyed this episode. These little 46 minutes go quickly for these episodes. So I found myself like, wait a minute, I'm already halfway through. Wait a minute, only 10 minutes left. Oh shit. Wait a minute, let me go back. What did I miss? I know I missed something. So in the at least 5 times I've seen this episode.
Yeah.
I have generally enjoyed it and feel like I picked something up different each time. How about you?
Yeah. I think we mentioned this last week, and I want to make sure we emphasize it again. This show is so much better on the rewatch. It's a very smart and well-written show. It is not supposed to be, hey, here's everything. You have to figure some things out. So I was the same with you. I watched it, and I got what was going on, but I'm like, hold on. And then you rewatching it's like watching a whole different episode.
Yep.
because now you know it's almost like and we talked a little bit about this before, where if you're watching some movies are first, well, we just did Get Out, right?
Hmm.
We just did Get Out on the Culture Garden, and how much that is a first time watch to where you anytime you watch it after that first time, everything that's happening in the end, you see it building up the entire movie. You just don't know it during
Right.
that first watch, and I feel like that's how it is watching The Agency.
Hmm.
Um, and they're just the plays were much more clear as I watched it the second time and was getting into it. So I really enjoyed the episode. Um, it's great storytelling. It's
Yes.
great storytelling, and I really do appreciate that. And I feel like they're really setting us up for something. We got some answers to some things we discussed last week.
I was gonna
Um,
say you're right. I was gonna kick it off there.
yeah. Let's go ahead and get into the episode. Where you want to start?
Okay, well, I'll just kick it off since I said it with Kieron being right about the gentleman following Dr. Sammy, in fact, not being her husband, but
Mm-hmm.
some sort of handler for the husband,
He's the Mr. Get It Done guy.
the Mr. Get It Done. Now, do you think that he is the husband and or Dr. Sammy's brother?
So let me go take one even further. I didn't decipher, and we don't have to get into the last scene yet. I just want to talk about this specific part
Mm-hmm.
when he mentioned that your husband wouldn't like it. There's two things you can take that. You could take that as yes, he works for the husband, or you can take that as he knows about the husband, and that's just a throwaway line,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just like a moral, your husband wouldn't like it, but I don't give a fuck. But you know what I'm really starting to think, Rachel?
Yes.
On the lowest of keys,
And he's in love with her too.
I'm thinking that might be her brother.
That is what I immediately thought. After watching this episode for the first time, I said, "Oh, he's her brother,
I think so.
but works for the husband as well."
Mm-hmm. I can definitely see that because if he can't work for the husband and put his hands on her like that,
Exactly.
that just
Exactly.
never
So
goes down.
there is some level of familiarity there that
Mm-hmm.
goes beyond I work for the boss. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even in, and we didn't discuss the penguin, but even in the penguin's handling of uh the daughter, I can't think of her name.
Sophia.
Sophia, I was about to call her Stella, from the Godfather of Harlem, but Sophia, another Italian. From Sophia prior to, the spoiler alerts of all of that, even as close as they were, having been her driver for her whole life, his handling of her was very different even after they became rivals, because I think that level, unless I'm actively about to kill you, like her brother, spoiler alert, uh unless that animosity is so deep, I'm just, or that level of deference is so deep, I'm just not gonna touch you, because the boss is still the boss, is still the boss, and your relation to that person is what it is. So
Yeah.
I have to mind my manners. Even if I tell on you, quote unquote, for what you're doing, you're still the wife, and I'm still the, I don't want to say servant, I am still the worker.
Employee.
I am
Yeah.
still the help, you know.
Yeah. Because there's only two ways you put your hands on someone like that in
Mm-hmm.
that situation.
Mm-hmm.
One is you're the boss. Two is that's family, and you are very familiar, like you just mentioned, Rachel,
Yeah.
because there's no other reason for it. So they're doing a good job of keeping that kind of under wraps. I
Mhm.
I think this is the episode we do find out that she is not a spy. She is who she says she is.
Yeah,
She just happens to be working with some people who are involved with a lot of shot callers, which is going to
exactly.
bring a lot of attention. Which means you might have been compromised the same way the same way Martian's making sure he's not compromised.
Mhm.
Osman is there to make sure she's not compromised or anything. In the very beginning of this episode, when he was telling people at that table um, with the delegates, like, if we find out anything about any words being said from this meeting out, all negotiations are off.
Yep.
There are to be no women in the hotel rooms,
Mhm.
like all types of things. Because I think everybody should know one of the easiest ways that people get to men is by women.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Having women do the work and things of that nature. So
And
and
men
men will fall for it every time. You said what?
I said, oh, and men love to pillow talk.
What? More than women?
More than women. More than women. And I guess before we move too far into that, one other thing or line essentially that gave me credence to believe that he is her brother is when Dr. Sammy says, what if someone hits on me when you're not here to protect me, to essentially be breathing down my neck? And he was like, that'll never happen. That is definitely little big brother energy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm always going to be around. I've been protecting you. I've been watching over you your whole life. So that was the line for me that sort of solidified it. Now, as we said, this is a beautifully written show. So if it comes back next week that he's not in fact her brother, okay, fine,
Yeah.
but make it make sense.
Yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that. I will say this: I am very curious about the character of Osman, who exactly he is, and
Mm-hmm.
what he's into, because he is, like I said, he is a get it done guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's one singular profession that he has, um, but obviously he knows, or he doesn't know, but he's quickly finding out that Martian is more than just an English teacher.
A person of importance,
Yeah, he's a person of importance
a
for
person
sure.
of interest, of interest.
Uh, yeah, no, for sure. We can talk about, speaking of, let's just talk about it because that was an interesting moment. Poppy comes to see Martian, and we remember the last time that Poppy and Martian talked. He pulled her in the bathroom because she was on his ass about finding out Paul Lewis
Yeah.
and who exactly is my dad. So we know there's been, I don't want to say a falling out, but definitely a disagreement, maybe a couple of days where there was no conversation. We see Poppy just coming to visit Martian so they can start fresh and have that convo. Martian lays it out. You know, I've been a dad as long as you've been a daughter. I think we need a fresh start. I do kind of enjoy their relationship because it's hard to be away, I'm imagining, for very important parts of her life and
Mhm,
years of her life while you're
mhm.
out doing things and for your country and in the name of your country, serving your country in a certain way. And she doesn't really hold too much against them, but at the same time, they still have a kind of relationship where it feels like they're familiar, where she can say like, he's offering stuff, you got any blow? Or how about you buy me stuff that I can't afford? And just, my therapist said you say that. It's funny, my therapist told me to say that. I don't know. They just play very well off of each other.
Yes. I like their relationship. And, sort of last week we discussed a few of the nuances that come into play when your
Hmm.
father is essentially a spy and he works for the government, but you don't know exactly what he does. This episode made me even more curious of actually not their relationship, but the relationship with her mother.
Mm.
That is the relationship that I am now interested in because I'm actually surprised, given the nature of what he does, he was allowed, quote unquote, to become a father. And so, is her mother a random civilian? Is her mother, and Ms. R were also an agent of some sort?
Mm.
And she's out of the game, so now she can live a steady life because she got pregnant? Because given the nature of this job and just how you have so many aliases, we meet another alias of Martian this episode, Tom Vincent.
Hmm.
I'm curious of as to how she was allowed to come to be. I
But
want to say, I would think if the mother is a nobody, I'm surprised that the government didn't handle that in a way that they could handle that. You know what I'm saying? Because him having a child, him having this random ass daughter is a conflict of interest. She is gonna be a point of contention. We've already seen it. There are judgment lapses that happen when you have somebody that you care about, like a daughter who now is not 6 hours away over in London while you're over in the Sudan somewhere, more hours than 6, I'm assuming. Now she's right there. And already we've seen the impact of her being in your presence.
Yeah.
It's tricky as fuck. So now I want to know about this mother.
I don't think she was a spy, mainly because I think Poppy has so much interest in his work that I think she would have that need filled by talking to her mom about it, unless she's not
No.
talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless she's not talking about it. That is the only thing I can say to that. Those are all great points, Rachel. That I really hadn't thought about. I would just have to say he had to be doing something different back when she was pregnant. Like, I don't think he was at this level of he was the undercover. I could be wrong. I just
I
don't
don't
know.
think so.
And I don't know if they might strongly suggest, as Henry stated later in this episode, that you shouldn't have a family. But I don't know if that's something. I wonder if he was ever with the mom.
She
Was
just
that
wasn't
just like a
trying.
random, just a little, you know what I'm saying?
And again, I ask.
A random in Georgetown, as the doc was saying.
One night stand in
Yeah,
Georgetown.
You never know.
As to which, if she is in fact that, would be all the more reason for the
CIA to
government
get
to go ahead
involved.
and Thanos, them mother and baby. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. For the pro-lifers, we're just talking about podcasts. We're just talking about a show.
Fictional works. Fictional works. That's all. But it's not. It's only funny because it's true. That will happen. That's 100% that
They
something
can
that
do
will
it.
happen. Yeah, they can 100% do it. Yeah, listen. You know what? I know it's a conspiracy and political show. We're not gonna go. There's so many things that I can say about what the government can do. But you know,
don't have nobody knocking on my door.
I say feds always listen. We don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? We don't know nothing. But going back to them being in the mall, there's a moment where Osman passes Martian, and that was the telltale sign. Because the one thing we know about Martian, and the one thing that 99% of the people won't know, because nobody's really out here knowing, unless it's very obvious. You don't know if somebody's following you, whether it's a person, whether it's somebody in a car. That's something you're trained to look for, right? You either work for the government or you're a hood nigga. It's really the two people that can identify things like that. And I don't mean like you grew up, and I mean you are involved in illegal activity where you need to know what your surroundings are at all times.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about deeply understand what someone's following. Not, like I said, not the obvious stuff. That was the moment, because as we knew in the episode, I forget which one it was, when he first met Danny, about the first question he started rattling off, observing. Not just observing what people have on or what they're driving or their license plate number, but more so, what can I learn about this person just from looking at them? And sometimes it's about knowing what doesn't stand out. And Martian knew right away, this dude does not fit. This is not the type of person that's going to be at the mall in the middle of the day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's here for a reason.
Yeah.
And then he told Poppy when they were walking, like immediately, like at least by two different sets.
At least by two different people.
Two different parties. You know what I mean? We're getting followed.
Organizations, I think he said. Yeah.
Yeah, two different parties, I think he says what he said. And want to play a game. Immediately lost them. And kind of knew what it was. So he was trying to really figure out what's what. Ended up at the end of the episode finding out, oh, that's the same dude that was in the mall. Now he's connected. He's putting the dots together. But I just thought that was a moment to where, all right, we see Osman slipping a little bit, but we also see Martian. I've been doing this since been doing it. So you ain't just about to be caught. You ain't about to be catching me lacking in the mall, bro. Like, I know what's going on. I know the game.
You ain't gonna catch me lacking in the mall, but you about to catch me lacking.
Yeah, you're gonna catch me lacking because. And we'll get to it when we get to the final scene. The one thing I'll say about the agency, they body their closing lines.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
They body their closing lines on them. Like, they really they make sure you know what's going on, especially with the music in the background. I really enjoy it. But Osman, once again, I don't know if you want to talk about the beginning of the episode, because that kind of sets the tone for where we get into, but it does play into, I don't know, we could talk about the whole KGB quarterback blitz situation, or we can get directly into Danny. So I think those are the main two things left that happened in this episode.
Okay.
And they're kind of all tied to, all the scenes in this episode are kind of tied to those two events.
So let's start with the KGB of it all. And I before we get there, I wrote down the rat in Henry's office is gonna be symbolic.
Mm, damn.
That's not random.
Yeah, you're right. Damn, I'm sorry I didn't pick up on that. You're
That's
absolutely
not
right.
random. That's not random. So either Henry gonna be tricky, that's too obvious. But there's a rat,
Mm,
there's a rat in the milk. A mouse in the milk, a fly in the milk is what they say, but we're dealing with rats. So
damn,
trick
Rachel. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I
that
did
matters.
not pick that up. I
That
needed a couple more. I needed a couple more rewatches.
matters. 7 of them things.
All right. So we learned at the beginning of the episode, which we didn't highlight. We did last week. I want to highlight it again. This episode starts with Martian in what appears to be probably not a hospital bed, but some kind of medical bed. I don't know if he's in the hospital per se. CIA might have moved him out of there somewhere, but he is beat up. And if you watch, did you watch the preview for next week's?
Yes.
It appears that's when he gets beat up. So I'm not sure what's going on. But yeah, Martian is caught up in some shit. So he's telling his story. And we don't know exactly what the timeline is, but he's talking about there's a civil war in Sudan. There's all peace talks by the US and Saudi diplomats have been refused. But now they're meeting in London with the Chinese. There's billions of dollars on the line. Oil fields, gold mines, ports of the Red Sea, all types of heavy hitting, big money political stuff, right?
Yeah.
A lot of money at the table. And which we said earlier, Osman is setting the tone like, listen, this is something that if we find out anybody talking about it, you out of here.
Yeah.
The main point is every country wanted to be at this table. They want to know about it. The CIA knew nothing about it. That's what Martian mentioned, which makes it even worse. Not only does everybody want it, we don't even know anything about this meeting taking place. And we also learned that Dr. Samia is an expert in that region, and she's the first woman to ever really play a role this close. In this meeting, and she's just doing it to search for peace for her country. So we find that out, and as we roll along and really kind of see that Henry and Martian talk that you mentioned with the rat, Henry shares his fuck up about Charlie.
Yeah.
Owen comes in, lets him know that there's a Belarusian delegation that is downstairs due to a congressman from Idaho calling them a puppet state, and they want a public apology. Henry immediately, him and Martian, I'd say, the wheels start spinning. All right, why would they bring the whole delegate here for that? Maybe somebody in this room, because remember, that's exactly where Coyote went missing.
Yeah.
Maybe someone in this room knows exactly what's going on, or maybe there's a little bit more to what it is, right? So the whole play, and this is when I talk about the brilliant writing, just the whole, it's almost like catch up. Like I ain't got no time. It's like I don't got time to teach you. It's like trying to teach somebody how to play spades. I feel like that's what this show is like, right? I don't have time. I'm not gonna say it, but if you want to sit down and learn, feel free.
Yeah.
You got to do a lot of observations and a lot of going on. So they just throwing you in there. And I love the play because Henry and Martian are just on some like, let us in. Bosco tells them explicitly, not a word.
Yeah.
And as soon as they get in, before Henry even sits down, barely.
They running their damn mouths. They cannot help it.
Absolutely. And that obviously the episode title, Quarterback Blitz, come from right before the meeting when Henry says, we have an idea. I'm going to rush the edge. Martian, you expose the quarterback. And in that case, it would be the KGB member. And the idea is to have, hey, if they have Coyote and they're trying to deal, maybe that's what they're here for. And let's have this. And then obviously Martian is in that meeting and he spots the quarterback. He spots he spots the KGB member. He spots the person who might know something about Coyote. So it was funny, the whole play and how they were even there. But even to take it deeper, Rachel, I'll let you discuss towards the end of the episode. Well, before we get to the end of the episode, let's talk about the chambers, which I think is the club they were at.
The club. Okay. So I wrote down Henry and Martian are great at their jobs. Just for all of the things that you just said, they were able to disarm, to irritate the Belarusian by correcting the state. I think it was Iowa and not Idaho. making that correction and the distinction, and then disarming them to let them know, that this is, I don't want to discredit, your frustration, but this really ain't that deep. Essentially, we can massage this, we can fix this. We've tried to offer you help in the past and
Mm-hmm.
y'all didn't take it. So the real issue is that we just don't necessarily get along. And to your point earlier, we spot the quarterback, the person who knows. And again, when you are a spy, shout out to Tom Vincent, quote unquote, aka Martian, for picking up that Russian whenever he learned it. I'm sure he's actually fluent, because the nature of the
Mm-hmm.
job, not just can vaguely understand some things. And we spoke at the top of this episode, men love to pillow talk. The strip club is, so many deals go down in strip clubs. If you watch P Valley, it's not just down in the valley. It is also up in the upper echelon of politics and government.
Mm-hmm.
Backdoor deals are being made. Okay, behind a velvet rope. So,
Hey, emphasis on backdoor deals.
so here we are, and Martian sets it up. Things can happen if I'm willing to pay for something that I lost. He sets the story up. I would pay anything for it. And I didn't write down the quarterback's name, but him, he very
Yeah, I
easy,
forgot. I didn't write his name down, but either
yeah,
I just
he's
call him
like,
quarterback.
oh, okay, got it. He very easily picks up what's being put down, and the play is now truly, truly in motion for the government to be able to figure out what's going on with Coyote.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's clear now that somebody knows.
Somebody knows something, and first and foremost, the plan was brilliant,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that Martian, as you said, is him and Henry just incredible at their job.
Mm-hmm.
So Martian said it the whole episode. If this is what it is, I'll find it out. Like, trust me,
Yeah.
I found the dude. We know who he is. Immediately find out something that he's interested in. Oh, Chambers, cool. Women, we good. I already know how to navigate that whole situation. I think the quarterback, he came in and he was letting him know also, because he mentioned when they walked in, we don't have things like this in Minsk.
Yeah.
And that's all we heard about kind of the first 3 episodes. And that's where we know Coyote went missing. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like a cool little cat and mouse. Like,
Absolutely.
I ain't saying it, but I'm saying it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how things go down sometimes. Listen, I
Yeah.
ain't saying nothing, but I'm saying it. If you can read between the lines, you can read between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
I love, like you mentioned, the bike stolen. If the guy who stole it called me, I'd pay 5 times more than what it's worth.
Yep.
And then he subtly said, like that jet that they mentioned in the earlier meeting.
Uh-huh.
Like, they mentioned, hey, when we asked you if you needed help with the jet being lost, you didn't even acknowledge that it was missing,
That part.
which kind of let me know we got your jet, bro.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what you want to do is, as the great Jeezy once said, we can swap it out. You give us our guy back, we give you your jet back. Nobody has to know anything. You're very sentimental. This is my number.
Mm-hmm.
Call me if you ever want a night out of London or to talk about anything else.
Yeah.
Like I said, not over the head, not over the slapping you over the head with it, but stay in contact. Who
It's
knows? You
just
might
for
get
him.
that call.
Yep.
Good
And
luck with that bike.
I like that he left him to enjoy his evening. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you do you. So I'm pressed. You know what it's worth to me, but I'm not so pressed that I'm gonna stay on you and browbeat you and stay attached to your hip all night. Go have fun.
Yeah, enjoy yourself. That's how it was done. That's like any negotiation or courting of that matter. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You don't want to be too pressed and too uptight. Nah, listen. This is going on. This is a feeling out stage. You picking up when I'm putting down.
Yeah.
Now I'm bringing this phone back to headquarters and I'm saying the line is open. So now y'all got access to anytime this line rings, you know exactly who it is
What's going
and what
on?
it could mean. They even mentioned, hey, it could be a shakedown. It could be, but that's where we are right now. That's what
Mm-hmm.
happened when you lose something sentimental, something with value. You got to take the risk. And that's just kind of how it plays out. Speaking of that, once again, another big reveal,
Mm-hmm.
another big moment where we find out Henry set the whole shit up.
Bruh. Bruh.
You know the last thing I want to do in this life, Rachel, Like not last thing, like literally the last thing, but the last thing I want to have happen.
Mm-hmm.
Owing a nigga a favor.
Yeah. Yeah.
The most powerful people don't operate off of wealth
Mm-hmm.
or fame or anything like that. It's influence and it's favors.
That's it. That's it.
That goes back as far as Vito Corleone and The Godfather
Mm-hmm.
to anyone else you can think of who's ever been in that kind of position. If you owe a nigga a favor, you are under their thumb forever because there ain't no getting out of it unless it's a big favor.
What were when we did our what did we discuss last? Not House of the Dragon. The
Before House
shot.
of the Dragon, Shy? Yeah.
When you owe somebody a favor, you are indebted, beholden to them
Mm-hmm.
forever. Because depending on the person, there's no depth to what it's going to take for me to say your debt is paid off. It's not you don't get to decide unless it's truly something big what your payoff is. You know what I'm saying? That you've done enough to pay off the debt of this favor. And now here we are.
Yep, that's exactly right. And it's funny because you say that. The only time I've ever really even seen it happen, there's a movie by Guy Ritchie called The Gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
And Colin Farrell's character, he is some people that he's responsible for stole some shit they weren't supposed to steal, and they stole it from a person they definitely weren't supposed to steal it from.
Mm-hmm.
And he came and pretty much sacrificed himself for the people, like the kids that did it, and was like, "Listen, they kids, don't put this on them. Like, I'll be in your debt as long as you need it. I'll be in your debt as long as you need it." And then the first two was really big. He was like, "Listen, I ain't a gangster. This is I do this. Like, I got one more in me. Like, you got one more," and it worked out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they were, but the main thing about it is the people that you owe the debt to have to be reasonable.
That's it.
Government ain't reasonable, yo. That's just
Not
not
at
what it
all.
is.
Not at all.
Especially when you, especially, and we didn't talk about this part, Rachel. Even more importantly, when you have something to lose.
Yep.
Your son got caught with half a key.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, shout out to JC. Got half a brick in the fucking airport. What were you thinking for one?
Bruh.
Two, I almost said something. I forgot we're talking about the government. Two,
Reel it
I
on back.
know. Right. Two, hey, yeah, we heard about that thing. Yeah, you don't want this getting out. Don't worry about it. There's gonna be a time where somebody gonna call you. We're gonna need you for something. Don't worry about it. Just sit back, relax. That's the scariest shit ever. Because he got that call. Like, listen, remember that time? Yeah. Why don't you? I need you to say this in the Congress floor. And ain't really. I'm not really asking. I'm not telling you, but I'm not asking either.
But I'm not asking either.
And you already know what it is. And I love even Martian was on some like bullshit. Like what? Tell me what it is. Let me put that play together, man. Gently suggested it. I love the fact that this shit run deep. So that just means his brain, going back up once again, how right you were, Rachel, how great he is at his job.
Mm-hmm.
His brain was already looking for solutions.
Yep.
Because we're all guessing, right? Mm-hmm. And there's nothing worse. Same thing like they talked about the needle in the haystack in the last episode. There's nothing worse than just taking a random swing, but having to really have to have the thought process of, if I was this person, how would I react to this? And really setting the play up to see if I can weed it out that way. I mean, it's layers to this shit. It's very complex thinking. I thought it was a brilliant idea.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. And just nothing, a reminder that nothing is as random as we might think it is. You know, things are always in play behind the scenes, and you just have to be mindful of that. Yeah, I'm very curious. Go ahead.
And now that I was just gonna say, now that you got me thinking of the mouse and the
I knew it
in the office.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at all the other scenes and like, man, it's got to mean something. So when Bosco gave him that little, just tell him, hey, this just remind me of a time when I had time to do this kind of stuff. I don't know what it means, but it just feels like something more than just because Bosco doesn't take me as like the sentimental
Not at all.
type.
Not at all.
And everything, especially maybe I'm thinking of his interaction with Martian about the flat.
Mm-hmm.
Like just kind of if he's doing something like that or showing interest, there's always a reason behind it. I don't know. I don't know. Something to think about. Something to think about.
It's definitely something to think about. I don't know either, but I know I have a side eye towards everybody that has not changed from week to week, you know.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
I maybe my side eye towards Dr. Rachel may be changing.
I haven't had no sex.
Haven't had no sex,
She said 17 months.
which ain't that long ago. Okay.
Hey man, Rachel, man, she said we coming up on a year and a half, man. Shit.
But I appreciate her vulnerability. Now, I told you I didn't trust her last week. I don't know if I still don't trust her or Martian is such a liar.
That's all he does. That's all he knows how to do. Is he a liar or does he just know how? Is he a liar or does he just turn into different people and he's telling their versions of the truth?
Are you saying that Martian has turned into the crowded room?
I think Martian slips out of Paul Lewis, Vince. I listen. That's one thing I'm sure we'll talk about a lot more as this show continues. But and I know we talked about it last week in the episode. But just that's a tough balancing act,
Yeah.
and it's very easy to lose who you are. And
You
we
have
talked
to be insane.
we talked about actors who needed therapy after playing certain roles, and because it helps them get back to who they are at their core. Because you get caught up in this person for so long, and that's the same thing with these CIA reps. I just watched that movie recently. I was going to text you about it. That's what it was.
Oh, see, look at
Before
that.
we started recording, I said I was going to ask you about something else. That's what it was. All right. Side note, we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But I think that he's learned and mastered, because he has to for survival, the instinct of slipping in and out. And I think there are moments when he's talking to Dr. Rachel where he's speaking as Paul Lewis.
And not Brandon.
And not Brandon Martian.
And not Tom Vincent. And
It's all the game. Think about this. Everybody in your life that you speak to, even your daughter, it's all calculated and it's all the game. You always got to read like what you mean by that. What do you mean? Yeah. What are you looking for? Why are you asking me that? Your brain doesn't work like, hey, somebody asking you how your day is going isn't just how's my day going. To you, that's a calculated question that they're asking for a reason, and you're trying to process all of that. Who's going to be the best person to answer this person? It's insane. Like you said, it's an insane thing to have to deal with and think about, and he does it so smoothly.
So this nigga's crazy.
But he likes being Paul Lewis.
I think that he does. I think Paul Lewis represents a life that he desires.
Badly wants.
The life
badly wants that life.
So I just spoke to him being a liar. We found out in episode 1 he was lying about the breakup with Dr. Sammy.
Mm-hmm.
We saw him sneak and see Dr. Sammy back in London, and then she disappeared, and she's back. Whatever. I just had the thought, why didn't the handlers essentially who were following Paul Lewis know who she was?
Who?
Dr. Sammy at the hotel. They weren't briefed on everybody important in his life. Remember, they didn't know who she was. Like, she looks too classy to be a prostitute, this, and the third. They don't know. Henry essentially doesn't know who she is. But we know that you've had this girlfriend.
So did anyone ever get a photo identification of her? We know they looked her up because he asked his handler So, gave her the name and information, but did she just look
Right.
up information, or was there a picture? You'd imagine there's a picture.
There has to be a picture.
Grandma and grandpa makes a little bit more sense, and only because of the scene when they went in Henry's office and said, listen, our duty is surveillance. If you want more than that, then, if you want to know who he's fucking and the whole nine, we'll get into all that. But right now, we're just seeing who's coming in and out, all of that. And I think they weren't made to be now. Why? That's the bigger question, is why wouldn't they want to know that information?
Yeah.
Former girlfriend, that's somebody you definitely want on the list. But I don't know, might be a slip up by the CIA. Maybe that's their way of trusting and thinking hey, we really don't think nothing going on. We just want to keep eyes on them because that's a general procedure.
Not if you tracking me 7 ways now. 2 ways.
They know you're a bad motherfucker. Listen, you don't take eyes off of Jason Bourne. And you get a lot of eyes on him. That's just how it works. I think they know Martian. Who was it that said it? The dude that lost his job for sabotaging the tape. Paul, I believe his name was. Remember remember when his parting words were, keep an eye on Martian. He's dangerous.
He's dangerous. Okay.
Are we looking at Martian wrong?
Oh, for sure.
Because they're painting Martian to be somebody I don't think he really is.
He's the protagonist. Martian is a dangerous motherfucker. You just said it. That's not a throwaway line. I think that we need to keep it in the back of our heads. We've already acknowledged he's a liar. He's lying to every single person in his life. Even the people who know him. Even Henry. Even Grandpa. Even your doctor. Who you can't lie to your therapist. It doesn't work if you're lying. That's what they say. But when you're a nut job whose survival is based off of you being insane and a liar, hey, to your point, maybe he can't differentiate, or maybe he's slipping in and out of identity. So this particular identity is telling the truth. This is true for Paul Lewis. This is true for Brandon. This is true for Tom. This is true for Martian. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Well, Rachel, to that point, we're in there with Dr. Rachel.
Yeah.
Talking about the scar on his hand. Wounds heal, they become stories. Wounds heal, they become stories. And then at the end of the episode, we see Martian looking at this Paul Lewis ID. Knowing, anytime we see that, we know what that means. That means he's thinking about Sammy.
Yes.
He's thinking about Dr. Sammy. He wants to see her, and he cannot give this up. It's the only thing that he hasn't given up. And I dare to say, obviously, without knowing anything about him, I dare to say that's the first time that's happened. The first time he's never fully let go of an identity.
I think we can believe that. He said that. Even in his discussion with his description of Dr. Rachel of Dr. Sammy to Dr. Rachel, you don't get this feeling so many times in life. You know what I'm saying? The way that this relationship felt, I've not felt like that. I can't imagine I'll feel like that too many more times in this life. So that already tells me that you just ain't a regular girlfriend. I got a girlfriend, whatever, which is how he tried to play it. So you love her. You are in love with her. All of your personalities or aliases are in love with her. It's fucking dangerous.
It's really dangerous. Wounds heal, they become stories. So we see the story of how he really got that scar, saving Dr. Samia during the coup. Once again, just want to point out, he told Dr. Rachel that was from an avocado pit.
Yeah, lying for no reason.
She's lying because he knows the one reason why people tell you not to lie. So you got to keep the lie alive. You got to remember the details of the lie. If you tell a lie and 6 months later that lie comes around, you better remember what you said.
Yeah.
You can remember the truth because that shit happened. right?
Mm-hmm.
And not only on top of everything you just said, Rachel, about him being dangerous and insane, that's a whole nother level. That's almost that's psychotic to be able to remember your lies to a
For
certain
sure.
degree to where they sound true.
For sure.
Um, we talked about the end of the episode and it's like Osman pressing her about the name, and they were right there. You know, he is 15, 30 seconds away from coming a little bit too early
Mm-hmm.
and running into Osman straight up and them having a whole different conversation.
Yep.
We talked about the end of the episode as far as the last lines, why'd you keep doing it? Once again, this goes into the whole he's Paul Lewis. Why'd you keep doing it? When you fall, when you really fall, you never know how far it is.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, it feels like flying. Then you hit the ground, which is a bar. Like that's if you've ever been in a situation like that, it does. You feel like you fall flying after a while, then that reality smacks you right there in the face. So I think we're gonna get a lot more information when it comes to them. But obviously, we can't close this episode out without talking about Danny and her first real action in the field, and not really the most screen time I said we've gotten with Danny.
Yeah.
And let's go ahead and just get into it, Rachel. I'll let you take that one.
So Danny is at the conservatory or the school.
Yeah, it's Institute of Geophysics.
On her first mission, essentially, so she sees Dr. Reza, who is again person of interest. We've heard her describe him last episode as, I believe she called him a monster, which we see that. So she's teaching her class and he comes in, after the fact. He asked her, do you know about this random physic? Which is on her resume because again, CIA.
Right.
And she, of course, gives some generic answer and calls her handler afterwards, like, I've been invited to a gala with every who's who in the industry. I don't know shit about this. So she comes and she's memorizing. Her phone dies. Thought it very odd that he came to pick her up from the house.
I thought it very odd this nigga had no car charger.
Okay.
But going back to the real shit, going back to the real part. Go ahead.
Weirdo, because who doesn't have a car charger?
Yeah.
It's given all the locks are sawn off.
As soon as he said I'll pick you up, I knew what time it was.
You already knew what time it was. I knew what time it was when we saw the preview of him last week.
I don't even offer to pick up first dates.
Very much that. Very much.
What I mean? Like,
I'll get you here, like just come here. But maybe he felt like, she might not know because she's new to the city. Concessions could be made, but side eye. So they get in the car and immediately her phone is dead, to your point. She doesn't have a car charger, but he immediately, sees her worried, dare I say, stressing, trying to go through her lines. And here he is with your hand on my thigh, very much Avant and Kiki Wyatt. And she wasn't prepared for that.
Mm-mm. He put the hand on the back of the neck first.
Back of the neck.
Which is a very,
intimate.
Familiar place. Very intimate and very familiar. Like back of the neck, yeah, that's just, yeah.
And then we get to the thigh. And she says, I don't think this is a good idea. His back straightens. Oh, okay. Why not? You remind me of my father. Excuse me. As somebody who dallies in older gentlemen, don't nobody want to hear you remind me of your damn daddy. Like,
straight up.
As someone who's had an older gentleman caller, trust and believe that's not what they want to hear,
Nah.
even if they are
said,
money.
First question, nigga asked, how old is your dad?
Nigga. What the fuck? How old do you think I am? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
So we learned that he was 35 when he passed. R.I.P. to him. And she tries to clean it up. It's your kind eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And they remind me of my father. She didn't smoke that to me.
Mm-mm.
Because now we find out she really is telling the fucking truth about these eyes and missing her father
the contrast between Martian, Danny. I'm new to the game. I've been doing this for a long time. She
Yeah,
can still be saved. Her therapy sessions will look a lot differently.
for sure.
Crazy.
For sure. And the other contrast, and I'm not saying this, but I'm saying it. When you've been in the field so long, quote unquote, I don't want to say your body, your choice, but when you have been in the world for real, yes, this is inappropriate. You are a superior, I'm a subordinate, blah, 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 blah. But your body is becomes just a body because it's just an avatar for whatever. So
It's
your
not
heart
your
is
body.
in it. I
It's the
got
undercover. You know what I'm saying? It's that undercover person's body. You gotta look at it like that.
And for her, for Jenny, this is me, my body. I'm uncomfortable. Where somebody like, I'm not even gonna use Martian crazy ass. I'm gonna use Henry scheming ass. For him, yes, this is uncomfortable, but I can navigate this situation better. Even if I don't want my avatar body to be sexually assaulted, harassed, abused by my superior, I can get out of that a little bit better without jeopardizing the relationship and the mission. He kicked her ass smooth out that car. He did it gently.
So I'm curious. Oh, go ahead.
But it's tricky. And now the nature changes. And now your approach has to change. And your relationship with him has to change.
So, all very well said, Rachel. This is a very tricky part for me because I know I'm watching. I know that Danny is a spy and she's working for the CIA. So obviously, you don't look at it the same as a random date,
Yeah.
first date going to this event, and this is what he's putting on it, right? And what I mean by that is the reaction, because given that this is part of her job, my first thought was, I wonder if there's going to be any kind of pushback from Naomi, her handler, about why did you not proceed? Because the most important thing right now is that you get this fellowship or whatever the case is to go to Iran. Like, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And like you just said, sometimes you got to take one for the team. As fucked up as that sounds, this is your job duty.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Remember when she asked, when Danny asked Naomi, how am I supposed to get a job or an internship wherever at the place? She was like, that's not my problem. Like, you are a spy. You are an agent. This is your job now. Remember, when Danny first gets to the institute, she's being told by Naomi over the voiceover that there are 3 types of enemies. She talked about the third type being the predator. You must seduce them. You must draw them in. You must be the most wary of them. And that's what makes me think, like you said, Rachel, none of this stuff written in this show was on accident. It's all very intentional. So we get the game right now.
Yep.
If we didn't know, we should have known right then. Once again, rewatch. You see it. The predator. That's exactly who he is, even though he comes off as just kind of like but really just telling the story. A lot of people in power take that power and use it to their advantage of the people who want to get ahead of themselves.
That's it.
So you must seduce them, draw them in. That goes to the second point, which you kind of alluded to. Is this a long game for Danny?
It could be.
Is she seeing him? Is she really good? We once again, you have to know how to read people and who they are just by looking at them. She able to see that this is the type that's not going to quit. If I come in and I kind of like seduce, or if I come in his office one day, even if he give me the cold shoulder, if I maybe put my hand on top of his hand, will he start to kind of readjust and get back to this and really be the long play? We've heard it all before. We've seen it all before. You know, after the time in the car, I didn't think you were really interested, because all she can do is say, you know what, I was thinking about what you were saying, and you know, maybe you don't remind me that much of my dad. She can flip it if she wants.
She can flip them kind eyes. I'm just keep getting lost in them. You know, she really good at mouthpiece on her.
Yeah.
She can make it work.
I think she flips it because she has to. I'm curious to see how that goes because, like I said, he's you could tell what type of dude he was because he's one of those speak the language of the person you meet type of people. Those, like that low key, like it ain't racist, but low key you trying to be funny. It's like when you go to a Mexican restaurant, you start saying gracias and stuff like that just for no reason. Like, bruh, let's say thank you and keep the fuck going. Or
my bad. Lo siento.
You know what I mean? For me, like it's like when white people come up to you, when they come up to you and instead of giving a handshake, they try to get a dap or what's up, brother? What's up, homie? My man. Like, all right, man, stop it. But yeah, he hit her with that. Dr. Reason, man. He a funny dude. Not funny like haha, but funny like he needed his ass whooped. Yeah, and all of that with Danny was just the cold ass, like, all right, man, I'm just gonna drop you. I ain't gonna take you back home.
Bruh, I'm gonna let you out here.
Rachel.
Not
and I know your phone dead. And I know your phone dead.
No regard for your safety beyond this point, because now you bruised my ego.
He treated her like Alonzo treated Jake in training day. I don't want you in my unit. I don't want you in my. Get the fuck out of my car.
Get the fuck
in the middle of the intersection, nigga. Get out of here.
Jenny has to pull it together. We saw her, call her mom. I didn't think the bitch was really from Barcelona.
Is her real name Jenny? I know her undercover name is Danny.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I think I just called her Jenny. It might be Danny.
No, it's definitely Danny. I just didn't know if I missed
Danny is her alias.
Okay, got you.
But she called her mom. I didn't really think she was Spanish, but here she is speaking it again. But
I ain't think that shit either. But we just 2024 something like, man, y'all out of pocket if y'all don't get a Spanish person to play this role.
Come on, but she's a Spaniard, if that's the case. Barcelona, they are melanin deficient over there in Europe. Me and my 10 days in Barcelona learned a lot about them folks, but Barcelona. I'm just very curious, but she can't keep calling her mama. I
gotta disconnect.
She's gonna blow her cover. And
last thing you want to do.
And I don't know how she completes this mission. Maybe you do get a chance to seduce the professor, to your point, which it'll be what she has to do. It'll be how she has to play. But I think it'll fuck her up because Danny, maybe, and or Jenny, the person is going to be fucked up by this, because it is trigger warning, an assault situation. It is. But it's not you. It's this character. She has to find a way to better disassociate. She has to do it. Otherwise, not just this particular mission, this job is going to eat her alive. And that's that. So I guess we're at the end. There's only one thing left to discuss.
What's that?
Paul Lewis cover is blown.
In what sense?
Paul Lewis cover is blown. Paul Lewis, who shouldn't have been using that damn ID.
Because she going, well, y'all, because she gave the name up. Yeah, absolutely.
Gave the name up. So Assad Osman has made his way to Dr. Sammy's door, presses her for, where were you been? We last saw him when he picked her up on the street. He followed her to the movies. And so now here we are. Who were you with? Who is that? What is this? Now I have questions. Now I done seen this man multiple times up to this point, but now I got to shake your ass down. She tries to be stoic. She tries to be, dare I say, brave. It doesn't matter. I can do what I want. We learned that she's filed for divorce, which is rare in her country, but not unheard of. She's still under the thumb, though, of her brother / husband's handler. This little nigga, I feel like she's at least 4 inches taller than him. I would have hit him on the top of the head. Bink. Donkey Kong style. Get the fuck out of the way. But he wasn't thinking like that. So this further lets us know that she is who we know her to be. An academic, not a real nigga.
Yeah.
Because somebody shorter than me is getting hit on the top of the head. Like, I'm sorry.
Something.
I'm crushing your skull in whatever capacity. To get away
Yeah.
and to protect the sanctity of this secret relationship that I have been having and harboring of this man I love who is on his way up. And now I know within eye and earshot of us both. Unfortunately, little big brother forces his way in and forces a name out of Dr. Sammy.
What's that name? And that's how that was a telltale sign. Because if she was an agent, ain't no way she giving that name up.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way you getting bodied by this little motherfucker.
Yeah, you prefer the Donkey Kong. I prefer the mush. I like putting the palm just on the.
That's it. You got to do something. You got to do something. But getting hemmed up by somebody that come to your fucking clavicle is not the way.
No, it's not the move.
It's not the way at all. So here we are. Here's this. And now Paul's identity. Fake, but his identity has now come into play. And now, I dare I say I'm even more so in danger. I've already been followed by this man.
Mm-hmm.
He has to know that I'm not just some English teacher, that I could lose you in the mall like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not who she thinks I am. Yes, I have this name, but now I am somebody who meets with government officials under the US radar and nobody knows. I can find out some shit. And so now I have this name. And now I have the ability to check. Oh, Paul Lewis, that was a professor at such and such school, only existed for about 6 years. Okay. This person has fallen off the radar. There's no mention of a Paul Lewis teaching here. There's nothing. And so now the cover is blown for an ID that should have been destroyed. For an ID that checked into multiple hotels to see this woman that's done multiple things. CCTV is everywhere. I'm identifiable as Paul Lewis, even though I'm Martian, Brandon, Tom, whatever other name.
Mm-hmm.
We have a show.
Rachel?
Yes.
You bodied that. I have nothing else to add. You literally said everything that I would have commented on or mentioned.
Yeah.
And that is the number one thing right now. On top of Danny and her mission, Danny's obviously gonna have to play some kind of bigger role. And they're slowly building us to that. But I really want to know how Osman and what he does with this information. I think next week we're gonna really see who Osman is, and what capabilities he really has. You never want to be the hunted; you want to be the hunter in this world. And right now, Paul Lewis, Martian by default, is now the hunted. Because yes, that might not be your identity, but nigga, I know your face.
Yeah,
you somebody, whoever you are.
Yep,
you who I'm looking for right now. You on the radar, and thankfully Martian knows that. But how is he going to play? So that cat and mouse they have, is Martian going to get someone involved? Is he going to tell someone like this is what's been going on and what I'm doing? Does he give the drop off on himself in order to protect the greater good? Who knows?
No,
who knows? But damn it, he hit the ground.
I don't think he does that. But unfortunately, Dr. Sammy has now been compromised.
Yep.
Because of this discovery, because of this admission. And now Osman, all he needs to know is that, yeah, we told these men not to have any women in the chambers and this and the third, but now here you are. Once I figure out that Paul Lewis doesn't exist, you're in danger, girl. Because what have you told this person, this boyfriend that you have? You already cheating on your husband. You're telling this random white man secrets. You telling him things he shouldn't know. This random white man who just starts randomly dating you has the same interests as you. Oh, okay. You've been compromised. Even though she may or may not have told Paul anything, because the government didn't know about these meetings, these secret meetings. You know what I'm saying?
Secret right emails.
But these secret Sudanese hidden emails. But she was there. She has the drop, quote unquote. She has the information. Whether Paul has been given any of that at all, which I don't think he has at this current juncture. Osman don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is that this random white man you've been sharing your bed with and probably telling all types of shit you ain't have no business telling now knows, and we don't know who this person is. You've been compromised. The mission has been compromised. You in danger, girl.
Yeah, and that's perfect. That's perfect. And it just the last thing I'll say is the reason that's so perfect is because it has nothing to do, like, I don't give a fuck about you really dating dude or whatever. It's the fact that you can't pick up that this don't look right.
Yep.
We talked this entire episode about these people are trained in this world, and we know Dr. Sammy's not necessarily in that world, but she's adjacent. So we're trained to know when something don't look right. And you said it perfectly just now, Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, random white dude in Sudan.
You can stop
all the people here approaches you,
mm-hmm.
has all the interests you do,
mm-hmm.
charming, lets you know just enough. Now you in love, like the whole nine. It's just kind of he saved you a little bit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? During the coup, I don't know. It's just something like you ain't nothing, and you just kind of wanted to register that. It wasn't too coincidental. Wasn't too perfect. I don't know. I think that's what the main thing is, and that's the concern for Osman.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna see. We're gonna see what type of person he is. I want to see some more Bosco too.
Yeah.
I want to see some more Bosco. I want to start getting into this rat situation. I want to see a little bit more about some of these main characters. We did not have a heavy Bosco episode, or Henry for that matter. We learned a little bit. But Henry, Charlie, what's going on with Felix? There's a lot of things that are going on that I want to get caught up on. And I can't wait to discuss episode 5 with you.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's go. Let's go, man. So is that it?
That's all for me.
Take us home.
Well, thank you all for listening. Be a part of this conversation. You can follow us on Instagram at We Got Y'all Pod. You can send us an email also to We Got Y'all I lied.
Instagram at We Got Y'all
Podcast at gmail.com. You can follow Kieron on Instagram. K-Rich.
Y'all see how she said follow me? Can you say follow her? She said follow me. I'll relay the information. I got a public page.
Follow us at the Culture Garden for our Culture Garden podcast. You can attempt to follow me on Instagram, Ray RA5A's YP. But for real, follow us, the page We Got Y'all Pod on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, share. These episodes are available, and everything else that we have. We do check those messages and try to respond back. So we appreciate y'all. Thank you for listening. Again, We Got Y'all is back. Culture Garden is back. We will see y'all in a couple days.
Yeah, see y'all in a couple days.
Like, comment, subscribe, share. Be cool how y'all be cool. Be blessed. Peace out.
Peace. We out.
Bye.